So many people recall the Fruit of the Loom logo featuring a cornucopia, yet no official version of the logo has ever included a cornucopia.
I remember having
See?
But do we not think that could be...
Mandela affected.
No.
Yeah.
Because people were perhaps buying things that weren't the truth.
I just think who's buying a knockoff Fruit of the Loom? Fruit of the Loom is a notoriously cheap brand.
If you grew up in the northeast of England, yeah.
Hello! Welcome to Believe. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest mysteries and conspiracies, isn't it?
Well, I like to think it's the truth revealed.
Yes, you do, because he likes to believe, and I think he's an absolute idiot. But in each episode, we bring on a guest. That guest has picked a myth, mystery, or conspiracy they want to talk about. We get facts and figures from the internet, and then we try to prove it, debunk it, or neither, as we know nothing, do we?
Yeah, we're just comedians.
Yeah.
Truth seekers, but comedians.
Yes, absolutely. But we will try and find the answers for you, because we know you want to be able to sleep at night. It's a service. That's what it is. If people want to follow us on social media, where can they do that?
We're all over the internet. You can follow us at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, and our handle is BelievePod.
Yes, it's where you can DM us. Tell us what you think about the myths, mysteries, and conspiracies we've been talking about. Suggest things that you'd like us to talk about on this podcast. A lot of the ones that we're doing this season have been suggested by you. We want more of those. We will get someone in who wants to talk about them. We'll find the truth for you.
Yes.
Yes, we will. Now, let's say they listen to the podcast, right? And they've gone, do you know what? These guys, they're incredible. They've answered so many of my questions. I'm now able to sleep at night and knowing the answers to things I never knew the answers to.
Yeah.
But how can I get more of this? Because there's more questions out there. Well, how would they do that?
There are always more questions.
There are always more questions.
The bad boys of podcasting have done good, and we have a Patreon.
Oh, yeah, we have a Patreon. For just £5 a month, you can get extra episodes of this podcast every goddamn week, plus early access to the main feed, can't they?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just chocked full of goodness.
Mm-hmm. And where can they go to find that?
That's patreon.com/BelievePod, or you can just go to their show notes.
Yes, we have episodes down there on the 27 Club. We have episodes on Stonehenge. We have episodes on whether Nicolas Cage is a vampire. Obviously. We have episodes on the Zodiac Killer. We have episodes on the 27 Club. We have so many episodes out there. It's great value. Go on there. You'll get an extra one of those every single week, and you can listen to our back catalogue. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and you'd be really helping us out.
Yes, you would. Absolutely. You're helping us support the pod as well. So that's a nice thing for you and for us.
For the price of coffee for just one of us.
Yeah, just one coffee.
So if you don't like the other one, buy the other. Yeah.
I'm also going to be doing previews of my latest stand-up show. If you would like to come to one of those, you can. On the 11th of April, I'll be in 21 Soho in London. 2nd of May, I'll be in Southampton. At the end of May, I'll be in Brighton. The 5th of June in Derby. 7th of June in Chichester. And on the 11th of June, David and I will be doing a double header of shows at the Bedford in Balham, London, won't we?
It'll be very, very exciting. He was doing all that stuff on his own. I had to jump in.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. The link's in the bio for any of those shows, or you can go on to philgreencomedy.com. There's a link there as well. Now, George is here.
The wonderful George.
You had to reset up the studio because it was seedy when we walked in, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh,
We don't
yes.
know what he was doing in here on his own, but it was pretty messed up.
We felt defiled.
Yeah.
We did. But he's made us a cup of tea, and all is good.
We don't know what he's trying to cover, but whatever it was, it's disgusting.
Dirty boy.
He is. And who is today's fabulous guest?
It's a true blue comedian, the wonderful Sarah Southern.
The wonderful Sarah Southern. Sarah is a comedian, performer, improviser, podcaster, and political broadcaster. She's done 3 Edinburgh shows and is cautiously writing her 4th. And she was recently in the US for coverage of the US general election. And I'll be honest with you, she scares us just a little bit, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's terrifying.
We are kind of like the naughty schoolboys to her headmistress.
Yeah.
Which actually sounds a little bit seedy, actually, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe that's why George said
Yeah, maybe that's why George set it up.
That was the vibe he thought we were going for.
Yeah, but she scares us, but we love her.
We love her, absolutely. And what is the myth, mystery, or conspiracy that Sarah's chosen?
Oh, it's the Mandela Effect.
Ooh, the Mandela Effect.
Free Nelson Mandela.
Let's bring on Sarah.
Get
out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
If they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Sarah Southern! Here she is.
Nice to be here.
Isn't it nice to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With 2 of my favourites.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? 2 of your favourites. No, we have seen you recently, but before that, we hadn't seen you for ages because you were trekking around the US.
Yeah, I went to the Americas.
Yes.
To
All of them.
some of them.
Okay.
To go and check on the election.
And how was the election?
How'd it go?
It went as I thought it would.
Did you
Sadly.
predict it?
Well, when I went out all optimistic, being like, oh, I think they could vote for their first female president. I think this could be like a real moment. And then after I'd been there about a fortnight, I was like, oh, God, they're going to re-elect Trump, aren't they? Yeah. That's what's going to happen. And I spent a bit of time in New York, and I was doing some stuff at the UCB theatre, the improv place there. And I was chatting to some comics there, and they were like, oh, Harris is going to win. I was like, I'm really sorry to crush your dreams.
Yeah, because you'd been around other states, hadn't you?
Yeah, but I was like, Trump's going to win. They're like, oh, I don't think you understand our electoral system. I was like, I do.
I do better than you.
And yeah, one of them messaged me afterwards like, wow, you really called that election. It totally shocked us. And I was like, yeah, it's not good.
How was the mood after it? Where were you at the?
Well, on the
election?
actual day of the election, I was in California.
Oh, nice.
And I actually,
nice, but not. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. I mean, being in LA, amazing. But I actually got invited to the Democrat Party's election night do.
Right.
On the election. And obviously because California is so far behind time-wise the other states, by the time we got in our driverless car, which was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life, getting in a car that doesn't have a driver and just takes you there.
That's a conspiracy. Yeah, go on.
How's that a conspiracy? Oh. Well, we'll
magic
talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Yes, it's magic. It's a bit like the DLR, like, ooh, no driver, or an aeroplane. Got there, and we could tell by the exit polls and the results that were coming in on the East Coast that Kamala Harris hadn't won. But as we walked into this party, there were, like huge posters of Kamala Harris with Daughter of California on it. So I was like, I got the feeling this party might not be raging.
Shit party, isn't it?
So we did sneak away earlier than we should have done.
Such a shame for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could have been an amazing party, but
I was fascinated. Like, as someone who's like such a political animal, I was so fascinated by it, just to kind of see how people were reacting, like how busy the bar was, but also there's so much media there. Yeah. So just kind of eavesdropping on what the reporters were saying and all that kind of thing. I thought it was really fascinating, but also kind of to see how all these activists were behaving after, in theory, having worked really hard to get someone elected, and then the person that they absolutely don't want in the White House winning. So it was quite an interesting thing to see unfold.
Yeah. Sad times for them, but
yeah,
interesting for you.
I think in some ways it was worse the following day when I went to stay with some friends who were up in Washington State who had worked really hard on the election, and they were just crushed. And you were just like, I don't really know what to say.
Did you meet any conspiracy theorists when you were in the US?
Oh, I don't think I was actively pursuing that line of chat. I'm sure I did.
What the fuck were you doing with your time?
Chit-chatting about the election.
Did you meet anyone that believed that Trump won the election in 2020? I
perhaps did, but I think I was wise enough not to enter into that kind of conversation.
Okay.
In this country, I don't think that we're that divisive in comparison to the US. Yeah. Like, people fall out with their parents if they voted for Trump. I don't think people would fall out with their parents if they voted for Keir Starmer.
I don't think anyone's excited enough about Keir Starmer.
Do you know what I mean? I just don't think people have got that. I appreciate that something like Brexit kind of pushed more towards that, but it is not on the same level as it is in the States. So I kind of knew a lot of the people who I was spending time with were obviously Democrat voters. Yeah. I did spend some time with some Republican friends, but they're really moderate Republicans, and they didn't want Trump to win. So I didn't really come across that many people who were certainly at the Capitol on the 6th of January.
Yeah. It might have got that divisive in this country if Truss had ever run an election.
Well, she would have just lost.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, look at how it was last July.
No one would have voted for her.
You know, Tories were just on your way, mate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, Liz Truss.
Oh, bless her.
Do you miss her, David?
I miss her because what a great comic invention. Like, was she real? Like, was she
Maybe
real?
she's the conspiracy.
I definitely think that she was terrible.
Maybe they stuck her in to tank the ship. Maybe they thought this will,
Well, no. Like,
no.
As with everything in politics, it is never conspiracy. It is always cock up.
Yeah.
There's never some greater thing going on underneath that, we need to do this. No, it's genuine cock up.
But it's a monumental cock up, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. Where's cock up possible?
She was meant to be this great thing, and oh my God, she wasn't.
I don't know who thought she was going to be a great thing other than herself.
Yeah, the cheese speech, right, which is regularly used as a gif, as a meme for years. And everyone, and yet that party thought that person, she's the one to lead us now.
Wasn't her biography, On the Road to Power, whatever it was called, wasn't it?
Oh, 10 years to save the West.
No, that's the later book. That's after
okay.
she was prime minister. Yeah. The book about her becoming prime minister wasn't even out by the time she wasn't prime minister anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Must read that. She's great value though. She will eternally be a pub quiz question, won't she?
People will forget her.
I don't think they will. Well, they might forget her, but they won't forget the fact we had a prime minister for 1 month. I don't think that will ever be something that will live down.
She's like the Lady Jane Grey of prime ministers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So conspiracies, generally, what are your thoughts on them?
I'm not a believer.
No.
I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
I believe in facts,
Right.
and not nonsense.
We all do, Sarah.
Facts as you believe them to be.
Yeah, I'm not a big conspiracy person. The only conspiracy that I truly believe
Yeah.
is that modern art is just a way of laundering money.
Yeah. You brought this up before. Yeah. And
that's a hill I'm prepared to die on. But other than that, I generally think that most things are just people's imagination got a bit
all
wild.
modern art, you think? All of it.
Okay, maybe not 100%.
But a
like
great
maybe
deal of it, I
like
would-
98%, let's
Right.
say.
Some of it's just.
But why would someone buy something and then sell it so rapidly? Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. And what are these fungible tokens? Like digital
Yeah,
fungible...
that there's something dodgy about that. Because you don't even know, there's no physical thing there, is there?
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? Just look at it on your phone and then show people.
Yeah.
You may as well just, I don't know, take a picture of it.
If you're the middleman, though, you're making a fucking packet, aren't you?
Yeah, but then those fungible token things, I don't even know what they're actually called.
Non-fungible tokens.
They don't seem to be, NFTs, that's it. They don't seem to be talked about anymore. So maybe they're not a thing anymore. Maybe it was just like a bubble, an NFT bubble.
Because people want artifacts. Like I'm a collector of many things, and I want the thing in my hand, or at least the thing to look at. You know, and
If I'm going to have spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on something, I want to hang it on the wall so that when people come round, I can go,
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
rich, you know, or whatever it may be.
You don't want an unmade bed by Damien Hirst.
No, it wasn't.
No,
even
that
us,
was
it
Tracy Emin.
Ah, Tracy Emin.
That was a phenomenal piece of artwork.
Yeah.
But the only reason that it's phenomenal is because she exists.
Yeah.
Once she's dead, it won't be the same thing.
Yeah.
It'll.
You see, I like modern art. I prefer modern art to any other era of art.
Yeah.
I think it's more exciting. You know, can you imagine if you could own like something really zeitgeist? It'd be so exciting, but I'm never going to. I'm never going to be at that level of wealth. And that's why it's nice to go to a gallery. That's why going to like the Tate Modern's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very cool.
I used to be very dismissive of Rothko. Rothko does big blank colors.
Love Rothko.
And I went to the Tate Modern, and I swear to God, I had a religious experience with a Rothko.
That room is so good.
And I was like, but I completely, Rothko is a joke. And then,
Yeah.
I get it. Like I felt something. Because I'm very figurative art. I love like Frida Kahlo. I love Frida Kahlo. I love Tamara de Lempicka. Painting and portraits, that's where my heart lies. But the Rothkos really blew me away. And when we go to Edinburgh, the reason I love Edinburgh is because of all the art galleries.
Yeah.
My favorite El Greco's up there, and which is just, it's like, oh, sorry, I can't talk.
That Rothko room at Tate Modern though is well worth going into. It is a moving experience.
You said something I really, really love. Cock-ups, not conspiracies. I love that. I think that is so much part of the conspiracy ether. I really do. Even though I would tend to believe and what have you. There are, you know.
You do love cock-ups and conspiracies.
And I do love, yay!
Absolute filth. I went to Frida Kahlo's house once.
Oh, yeah?
In,
Oh, my God.
In Mexico City, I think it is. And it's beautiful, really beautiful. It's not very big, very beautiful house. I think it was her family house. And I've forgotten the name of her husband, but he's very famous.
Diego Rivera.
That's the one. Moved in to there. And the whole thing is like a shrine to their life. So you walk around, it essentially takes you on a journey through their life. They've got a fucked up marriage. I mean, it was fascinating.
Wasn't Frida Kahlo next door to his ex-wife? Did the ex-wife comes into
maybe, yeah. It's a really weird incestuous relationship between like previous
Modern,
lovers.
it
Yeah,
sounds.
it's very modern.
Modern.
Talk about tortured artist.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see where it comes from.
But I love them.
Oh, they're amazing. They are amazing. Anyway, so this conspiracy, well, it's not really conspiracy, actually. This is kind of, this is a thing, I think. It's just the extent to which it's a thing. And there are people that do challenge whether this is a thing anyway. But anyway, the Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is a fascinating phenomenon that has intrigued psychologists, scientists, and the general public alike. It refers to a situation where a large group of people remember an event, fact, or detail directly from how it actually occurred. The term was coined by Fiona Broome after she and others distinctly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, despite his actual passing occurring in 2013. So,
After he was president of South Africa.
this is my point, right? But because I was thinking this, I was like, how does anyone not think that Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and then became president? But then I think, I don't know if you guys are the same, but I remember very distinctly the news coverage of him being released from prison. I remember that being a huge
It is
thing.
a key moment in my life.
Yeah,
Seminal
Yes.
That and the Berlin Wall coming down.
But is that because of the age that we were at?
Yes, of course. But I can picture it. I can think of who was in the room, exactly which
I was in the
chair
car with my dad.
Exactly which chair I was sitting in my parents' living room. And we were waiting for it because we knew it was going to happen. And then seeing all the people, there was quite a lot of people as he walked out.
Yeah.
It's like,
trying
where
to,
is he? Where is he? Where
Which
is
one
he?
is he? Where is he? Is this the moment?
Yeah.
And I remember it being, obviously, because that happened in 1990, the year before the Berlin Wall come down. And those two
Year
events...
after the Berlin Wall came down.
No, 89, the Berlin Wall came down.
Yeah, he was released in 1990.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
the
so
year
okay, right,
before.
right.
That's
Yeah.
how numbers work.
Well, I'm not a numerologist, whatever.
But those two moments were so defining
Yeah.
in my life
Yeah.
and kind of in some ways determined like what career I went into. And the fact that someone thinks that he died like a decade before, like that's crazy.
It is crazy.
But how old was this person when they like...
Don't know, but definitely quite a bit older.
Okay.
And
Are they American?
yes, and the reason I think, so my theory on this is the reason that she and others might have thought about this is because there must have been something in the early 80s, a story about this, or maybe a rumor that he died or something like that. And there was,
I mean, that definitely existed.
Yes.
I remember he was sick at one point and there was worry about that. But,
Yeah.
you know, but we had that song, Free Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Free Nelson Mandela.
Do you think, though, that like apartheid in South Africa was a much bigger news story and had greater impact here than it would have been in America?
Yes, because I think we were closer to it, as in
Yeah.
like not just geographically, but I think we were politically
Yeah.
closer to the situation. I mean, Thatcher had a frosty relationship,
Yeah.
but she was involved in
Yeah.
some of those talks, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So I can therefore, and also our news coverage is very global generally, whereas US news coverage less global. So I do wonder if the coverage that it had over there. But I find it bizarre to think that there had been some coverage that people believed in this, and then this didn't get covered at all. Or if it did, it got.
But then, so when he did actually die,
Yeah.
which was a very sad day, made more kind of heart-wrenchingly sad as it was the premiere of the film that was about his life. And the then Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were at the premiere and were obviously told and then had to speak to the cameras as they came out on their thoughts on the fact he died. I mean, that's so sad.
It is
they
very
knew
sad.
him.
Yeah.
Made me sad anyway.
No, it was sad.
I just then wonder what these people who've kind of rewritten history then thought, and they say they're like, but that's the second time he's died in my lifetime.
Yeah. Do you think that his release or his death impacted you more, or when he was on Changing Rooms?
When
Which
was
of
he
those?
on Changing
He was on
Rooms? Changing
Changing Rooms in the 90s because Winnie Mandela somehow got the crew over there to do up their garden. Do you remember that?
I don't. Is that the Mandela Effect?
Wow. I mean, I'm going to have to go and watch
need
that
to go and watch
episode of
that.
Changing Rooms
It's
on
amazing.
YouTube later.
Yeah.
I think the release from prison had a greater impact because I actually then went to South Africa. for
Not
the-
Changing Rooms, the garden one. What's the garden one?
Oh, with Sally Dimmock, is that?
Charlie Dimmock.
Charlie
Yeah.
Dimmock.
Yeah.
Who's Sally?
Ground, that one,
Ground
whatever
Force?
that. Ground
I feel as though
Force.
maybe it was just a challenge, Annika.
Yeah.
Like, what was going on? Okay. No, so his release from prison definitely had a bigger impact.
Yeah.
As I then went to university in South Africa.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Just like as a study abroad, like I was there for a term, and I did my university dissertation about the elections in South Africa
Yeah.
and what like his release and kind of democracy coming to South Africa the impact that had. And I went to Robben Island and I saw his cell, and I went on a trip to the house that he grew up in. So it did have a big impact on my kind of choice of career, choice of study, that kind of thing. And I was really kind of shocked when he died, although, you know, as shocked as you can be when a very old gentleman dies, but more shock as in the same way when Her Majesty the Queen went. Obviously, you know, she was taken from us too soon, but she was an older lady.
I'm Irish and I think she was taken from us too soon.
Oh, do you know, have you seen that South Park episode about Meghan and Harry?
No.
Right, so I don't watch South Park, but I did watch this one because it was about Meghan and Harry. And on it, it's basically about Meghan and Harry going on their worldwide privacy tour. Yeah. And everywhere they land, they go, you know, kind of, we want our privacy. And they've got like little banners, we want our privacy. But at the beginning of the episode, one of the South Park characters' little brother keeps watching the Queen's funeral. And in the South Park episode, it's like the Queen of Canada has died. And he keeps rewatching it and crying because he's so sad that the Queen's died. And I've never seen myself more represented on the screen.
South Park
We should put out Sarah fucking loves the royals.
Who doesn't?
Irishman here.
So the concept of the Mandela Effect gained traction in the early 2000s when people began discussing shared false memories on internet forums. Fiona Broom, a paranormal researcher, first introduced the term after experiencing the collective misremembering of Mandela's death. She recounted a vivid memory shared by many others of watching news coverage of Mandela's supposed death in prison during the 1980s, complete with televised speeches, mourning crowds, and newspaper obituaries. However, Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and went on to become South Africa's president. Since then, many similar instances have been documented, leading researchers to investigate the causes behind this widespread memory discrepancies. So this is quite a commonly used term now, isn't it? When something has been remembered, there's a lot of movie lines that this is attributed to, like way before this was even a thing, but we didn't really have a term for it before this event. Now we have a term for something that collectively people remember something differently to how it happened. Is there anything that you have been pulled up on that you misremembered?
No, I have a great memory. Okay. But I personally, so I don't believe in the Mandela Effect. It's just, I know conspiracy theorists here. Yeah. I think this is a larger plot to make people be okay with not being accurate about things. So like,
that is a genuine theory.
Yeah. It's just a subterfuge. I also think it's a way of derailing the fact that Nelson Mandela was a freedom fighter. Some called him a terrorist, but he was a freedom fighter. And I think it sort of gets away from that. That's a freedom fighter is a very dangerous thing. You know, I'm wondering like Luigi, you know, in the United States at the moment, you know, shooting that CEO, allegedly shooting that CEO. I don't think he actually did it. But it's obfuscating all that, you know, fighting for rights, and the idea that the Mandela Effect isn't freedom fighting. It's something weird happened and changed. I am really not part of the Mandela Effect, although we do have CERN and the parallel universe that opened up. So I'm not saying it doesn't have any.
This is where his theories fall apart. You do believe that this is a thing.
No, I don't. I mean, look, I think that people misremember things.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I think if you were to ask people, you know, examples of the Mandela Effect, like, you know, I know that one is that Britney Spears, people think that she, in the video of the one where she's in the red latex catsuit, that she had like a microphone thing.
Yeah.
Oops, I did it again.
But she
the Madonna microphone.
But she didn't.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, she probably did when she was on Top of the Pops, and that's therefore you're remembering that rather than the video.
But is that not the Mandela Effect?
No, it's people not remembering.
Yes, but I don't think, because isn't the Mandela Effect that people think that someone secretly is going around changing lyrics to songs and such like, and people try and find the original vinyl to say, no, look, it was this. I don't believe that there's some big conspiracy where someone's secretly like changing the words to movies. Yeah. I just think you misremember because you're a child. Therefore, if you were watching...
But this case here, if we talk about the actual Mandela Effect or what the case that we're talking about, these are adults, largely, that believe they remember this. I'm sure some children as well. But but then I do wonder if that's the nature of TV coverage and information back in those days, right? Because all you really had was TV and newspapers, right, and radio. That was it. You couldn't go on the internet and just go, "Is Nelson Mandela dead?" If you saw,
But you could pop to the library and crack a book.
you could, but most people don't, do they? So that most people go, "I've seen something on TV. He's dead. Therefore, in my head, he's dead." And then 20 years later, someone goes, "He's not dead." They go, "He is," because I fucking saw it on the telly in the 80s. And go, "Well, your memory's probably more accurate than the history books." That's likely what's happened. You don't believe this?
I one of the privileges of doing this show is I get to sit opposite Phil and see him talk, and that was one of my favorite moments ever. I wish everyone had seen that.
Well, fortunately, they have.
Yeah,
We've got it on
was
camera.
it was just beautiful.
That's what those are for.
Oh my God, we're on camera. I thought this was just sound.
But tell me some of
Okay.
the other goodies, because obviously I know the Britney Spears one.
Yes.
Then it's like lines from movies. So apparently, I've never seen Star
There's
Wars.
quite
I
a
don't
few
know.
of these. So notable examples. There's numerous well-documented instances of the Mandela Effect exist across various domains, including pop culture, history, and branding. So Britney is one of them. Some of the most
There's
famous.
Star Wars one, isn't
There's
there?
a Star Wars one. Yeah. So there's one. One of the most.
Apparently, there's more than 3 films. Like, there's only 3 Star Wars films, so I don't understand where that came from.
Well, this comes from one of those, so don't worry about that.
Oh, so, well,
Yeah, one of the.
there's only 3 Star Wars films.
So the one you're talking about is the Luke, "I am your father" misquote. So in Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader's actual line is, "No, I am your father." Yet fans remember it is, "Luke, I am your father."
So do you not think that maybe people remember it that way because it's a more easy to say line?
Yeah,
Like, "Luke, I am your father"
Yeah, it's
sounds
the
better
context.
than "No,
yeah,
I'm your father."
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said that was so camp. No,
I've not seen Star Wars, so I don't know how he did it.
You haven't seen Star Wars?
No,
Oh, Sarah, I'm so
we
sorry.
weren't taken to the cinema as children.
Do you know what? Having known you for years, that actually doesn't surprise me.
Come on, more. Hit me with
Okay.
more.
Do you know what the Jaws one is? I'm guessing you almost certainly will.
Oh, what's the Jaws one?
Okay.
It wasn't a shark?
Nope. So what's the most famous quote from Jaws?
Get out the water? Get in the water?
Fucking hell.
Jump
Okay.
the boat?
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh, we're going to
need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
So many fans remember the famous line is, "We're going to need a bigger boat." However, the actual quote spoken by Chief Brody is, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Say those two again. Does
I
that
did
sound
not
like
hear a
exactly
difference.
the same?
We're going to need a bigger boat. You're going to need a
Oh,
bigger
right. Well,
boat.
that makes sense because he's instructing them.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be in the boat, is he? He doesn't want to go out and play in the shark.
It does make sense, but for decades, and people still now get this wrong.
Because people
And this
think
is
that
impacting
they're
the world,
going out in the
Sarah.
boat. People think they're going out in the boat, don't they?
Yeah.
They feel as though they're actively involved in the film and that they're going to go and catch the shark. So they're saying, we need a bigger boat.
Yes,
Jaws.
So
is a
people are
great film.
involving themselves in the character.
that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still a misremembering.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's an explainable one. I mean, the I don't want to jump all over, but like the one I'm really aware of is the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, the Berenstain Bears one is here. So the
Who are
Berenstain
they?
Bears. So there's the
Right. It's
there's
American.
the Berenstain Bears and the Berenstain Bears. So many people distinctly recall the children's book series being spelled Berenstain, Stein, instead of the correct Berenstain, Stain.
Again, children.
Yeah, but true. But children that become adults who are remembering it this way.
Yeah, but if you ask a child anything, they'll get it wrong.
Children are fucking idiots.
Completely. As a child, I thought we went on holiday for 6 weeks. And I was talking about this with someone, and I said, "Oh, it was so nice. My parents used to take us on these holidays in Scotland for 6 weeks in the caravan. It was so great. That's what we did with our entire summer holiday." Mum was like, "What are you talking about? We once went away for 2 weeks. We never went away for much longer than a week."
Is that why you just went off? Was that why you
In
just
my
fucked
mind,
off?
I thought we were like, living in this like wonderful idyll in the west coast of Scotland. No,
That didn't happen.
we went for a week.
Is that why you just fucked off to the US for 6 months to make up for all the lost time?
I was like, I deserve this holiday.
So do you want to know some more ones?
Yes, please.
So some of the more hard-hitting ones, very important ones. So the Monopoly Man's monocle. Many people remember the Monopoly mascot, rich Uncle Pennybags wearing a monocle, but he never actually had one.
Okay.
Did you believe he had one?
I I hate Monopoly deeply.
Yep.
Every time I've played it has ended friendships.
None of it feels that very big stakes, though, does it?
Whoa, hang on, wait a second. Pikachu's tail. So a significant number of people recall Pikachu, the Pokemon character, having a black tip on its tail, which has actually never been the case.
Okay, I've got a little thing about this. So a friend of mine that I used to work with, who I'm still really good friends with, they loved the Pokemon, and they made a Pokeball bra. It was so cool. Anyway, my point is, for their birthday one year, because their birthday's very close to me, I drew a birthday card and I drew Pikachu from memory with the black bit on the end of the tail.
You are a Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Fucked it.
I fucked, and then years later went, yeah, Pikachu has a black tip of his tail. And
God, you disgust me.
Maybe it's just bad vision. Maybe people just aren't reading things properly.
I think it is partly that, but also it's the way that you want to remember something. I think as well. I think people want to remember we need a bigger boat.
But again, it's all small fry stuff. Like none of the Mandela Effect, other than Mandela dying, or you think Pikachu's
tail's pretty big. I mean, look, I imagine you've lost that friendship now.
They were like, this birthday
there was a lot of
card is not accurate.
There was a lot of forgiveness.
Get out of here.
A lot of forgiveness.
Fruit of the Loom logo. This is a big one. George was talking about this last night. He's very incensed by it. Was throwing stuff around. Got very violent, actually. So many people recall the Fruit of the Loom logo featuring a cornucopia. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Great. Behind the fruit. Yet no official version of the logo has ever included a cornucopia. The widespread misremembering has led to debates about how collective memory can be influenced by visual associations and cultural expectations.
Do we not? Because I remember it having.
See?
But do we not think that could be
Mandela affected?
No.
Yeah.
Because people were perhaps buying things that weren't legit.
There is if you go down the internet rabbit hole about this. Oh,
I just think who's buying a knockoff? Fruit of the Loom is a notoriously cheap brand.
If you grew up in the northeast of England, maybe
you have to take it where you can get it.
Maybe the shops you were purchasing things from
not
didn't
legit.
have everything.
Okay.
But I think I've seen and also I just love the use of the word cornucopia.
Cornucopia.
Because the only other time you get to
It's a
use
good
that word is when you're talking about the Hunger Games, because they keep all the stuff
in the cornucopia.
in the cornucopia.
Yeah. Did you believe it had one?
I've gone down the rabbit hole about this ages ago online and on YouTube's, and someone has found like from the 70s a Fruit or early 80s Fruit of the Loom T-shirt, and it has the cornucopia on the label. But how legit that is? Again, like you know, could someone make it?
Could be knockoff, couldn't it?
Could be knockoff.
Yeah. You know, but Fruit of the Loom, like. I take your point. Like, who's
knocking off Fruit of the Loom?
I don't know.
You knock off Hugo Boss. You're not knocking off.
Hey, it was the 80s.
It's like knocking off a Primark t-shirt.
Things were different then.
Fucking hell. Additionally, many people conflate the logo with similar designs they've encountered in packaging or advertisements, reinforcing the incorrect memory over time. This example highlights how branding elements, even those that never existed, can become deeply ingrained in public consciousness. So some other examples. So in song, the "We Are the Champions" ending. How do you think it ends?
We are the champions.
Till the end.
I don't know.
We are the champions.
You just sing that bit.
Loser, nah, nah.
Yeah.
We are the champions till the end.
Nope. So it actually ends, "We are the champions," and people believe it ends with "of the world." It actually doesn't say that at all, and it doesn't even say till the end either. It just says "We are the champions."
Oh, wow. So there's two Mandela effects there.
No, you've made up your own one.
I get no respect.
A lot of people think it's "of the world." And actually, when you hear it sung in like karaoke or in a bar or something, you'll often hear it sung and people will sing "of the world."
But is that not just the football terraces? Impact, as it were. Like, you know,
Like
if you're singing that, people are then just adding their own
But
stuff.
you think admittedly, if your team don't win the league very often, you probably don't know. But if you're, I don't know, Chelsea, or not Chelsea's a good example, Manchester City, for example, you think you'd fucking know by this point.
Yeah. I still just think people like to
Yeah, like
personalise
Alice,
things.
is Alice.
Yeah.
You know, and living next door to Alice.
Yeah.
I love the sweary version. I just think it's really funny for some reason.
It's absolute filth.
It's absolutely filth.
Yeah. Remember how naughty it was when it came out?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
My mum's called Alice.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the
Sing
name
it,
Alice.
No.
Of course not.
I love the name Alice.
So C-3PO's leg in Star Wars. Many fans remember C-3PO from Star Wars being entirely gold, but in the original trilogy, one of the legs was
Slightly silver.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly.
Yeah.
Because it used to really, really, really bug me. It's one of the reasons why I didn't collect the toys.
Had he had a leg replacement?
Yeah, because they were beat up robots. They like when
Well, that
Luke,
makes sense then.
when Luke buys them, and Uncle Owen buys them,
But-
they're trash robots, and it just happens to be that they're good.
Yeah.
People might have thought that he was all gold because their television sets were in black and white in the 80s.
No. Even my grandmother had a color television by the 80s.
All right, fancy.
No, she lived in Divis, though.
But in
it was
fairness,
not fancy.
The colouring on those TVs would have been a lot shitter than it is now.
Yeah.
So I can see that people might think that is true.
I want Return of the Jedi, watching it on television in said granny.
Yeah.
And my grandmother had lots of grandchildren, so I was one of thousands. And I remember watching Return of the Jedi, right? And I remember watching Return of the Jedi. And I was one of the younger ones. There's lots of older ones. And I'm old now. I'm watching Return of the Jedi, and it was so vividly green because the color wasn't great on the screen. And when I saw the in the 90s, they re-released the original Star Wars movies, the only Star Wars movies, and I was so upset that it wasn't as vividly green because that was a real memory of like, oh my God, it's so green. You know?
TVs then, though, were incredible. I remember buying a TV from the back of the newspaper that someone was selling that I'd saved up my money for.
Yeah.
And when we went to pick it up from this person's house, instead of like being the normal television way, it was upended. And obviously, like, when we bought it, we thought, oh, it was just because they needed the space.
Yeah.
And then when we got home, telly would only work if you put it on its side for a bit.
Wow.
And then basically if you like bashed it. So I'd like watch it and then I'd have to like turn it on its side so that I could then watch it the next day.
Maybe that's a northern thing.
I
think it's don't buy a telly from some bloke at the back of the paper.
Yeah.
But that was old televisions, old analog television.
Yeah.
You bang them a certain way and that would work.
Yeah, it would.
There was a pattern to banging our television towards the end of its life when I was a kid to make it work, and it would work beautifully.
Yeah.
But it did have that green like tinge across it.
Yeah. But you couldn't smack a modern TV on the side.
No, it would cry.
There's not enough side to it, is
Oh,
there?
Bill, we're not that used to. Febreze versus Febreze. Many recall the popular air freshener being spelt Febreze with 2 E's, but the actual spelling is with 1 E.
Again, I think it's a vision problem. People just aren't reading
If you were going to
things
spell
correctly.
Febreze, and I've just told you, I shouldn't have told you, how would you have
Can't
spelled
remember
it?
Yeah, with
How would I
E's.
spell Febreze?
You spell it with 2 E's.
Yeah.
You would, 'cause
F-E-B-R-E. Oh, well, hang on, because you're saying it's
Febreze.
Febreze.
I think that's Febreze.
But
One
you
E
want to
would be
add it,
Febreze.
make it easy. Because that's what it does. It saves you washing or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. But
Well, I mean, every time this sounds grosser than I mean it to. Every time I change my bedclothes, I always spray my mattress down and leave it.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
idea.
I quite enjoy that for some
Yeah.
bizarre reason.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh. And I sing the Shake and Vac song, which is not the same product.
there's no better feeling than clean bed sheets. It's the best feeling in the world.
Oh, I love
The
it.
small things in life that keep us
Yeah, it really is. Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes. So many people recall the famous cartoon series being spelled as Looney Tunes, Toons, likely due to the association with the word cartoons. However, the actual spelling has always been Looney Tunes, Tunes. The confusion may stem from the way other animated shows use tunes, e.g. Tiny Toons, leading to a blending of associations in collective memory. How did you think this was spelled?
I think I did think it was spelled Tunes.
Yeah.
I was an avid Looney Tuner.
Well,
I mean, what else was there to watch in the 80s?
True.
To be perfectly honest.
Yeah. It was on a lot, wasn't it? It'd be randomly sandwiched in between two adult programs. In the middle of the
I'm
Sunday
pretty sure,
afternoon.
like, after Football Focus, there was often
Yeah.
a Looney Tunes.
That was something that we had growing up in the 80s and the 90s. There'd be like cartoons and videos like just shown for here. We need 5 minutes to make sure.
Yeah, they'd stick it in,
And
filler.
They just don't do that now.
No.
It used to be really great incidental bits as well. The classical music with great animation. And do you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
And like we it's just now everything's dead. Everything's dead.
Because children just watch YouTube. They don't watch the television.
That's true.
I don't watch TV. I watch
That's
TV.
fine, because that's where we are. Follow us at Believe Pod.
Yes.
What about the Looney Tunes one? Did you always know it was
Yes, because that's how I learned how to spell tunes.
mates?
And I learned how to spell woman because of Spider Woman.
Okay. Flintstones. How do you think the Flintstones is spelt?
Crumbs. Do you know what? This is so crazy because that's so obvious, but you've now made me question how one spells. I would imagine Flinstones. So it's more like Flintstones rather than Flintstones. Flintstones. Fred Flintstone.
I would say it was Flynn Stones, not Flint Stones, even though I do think of it as Flintstones.
Okay. Well, you're both wrong.
Wow. Is it the Flintstones?
It is the Flintstones.
So two T's so close together.
Yep. Many people remember the name of the famous animated TV series The Flintstones as the Flintstones, omitting the first T. However, the correct spelling has always included both T's. This misremembering is likely due to the way people pronounce the name quickly. So exactly as you said, causing their brains to process the spelling incorrectly. Since Flintstones still sounds correct when spoken aloud, the incorrect version has persisted in many people's memories.
But it's not in my memory because I'm not walking around each day thinking, oh, I wonder how Barney Rubble's best friend spells his name.
But you say that, but you know that we all know the Flintstones. It's very iconic, right? And as soon as you were, I bet you were thinking the Flintstones.
I could.
You can hear the song.
The theme tune is playing in my head right now.
Right, so therefore you're thinking of the logo and you're thinking.
I can
of how
see
that,
they're going to the cinema.
So that is your
head
memory.
through the thing.
That is your memory.
Yeah. God, that's amazing. I still don't believe in it.
Okay, you're both idiots. To be honest, I didn't know that either. These examples suggest that memory distortions are not isolated incident, but rather a common and reoccurring psychological occurrence. So do you want to know the counter theories to the Mandela Effect?
I do, yes.
I know you do,
Please,
because
yes.
this is very much it. So while cognitive psychology provides well-grounded explanations for the Mandela Effect, some alternative theories propose different explanations. One of the more popular counter theories is the parallel universe theory, which suggests that these false memories may be evidence of alternative realities. According to this theory, people who experience the Mandela Effect have unknowingly shifted between different versions of reality where events occurred differently. This concept, while speculative, is often is often linked to quantum mechanics and theories about the multiverse.
So what you mean? There's a Sarah somewhere else who's spelling the Flintstones correctly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's just nonsense.
And in fairness, she's right. What do you think about this one?
I'm a big proponent for parallel universes, but I don't think Mandela Effect is that. I think if the universe does shift, you're not going to remember. It's just gonna change. Because you're not Marty McFly coming back to the future. You know.
I am.
I wish. That's my favorite movie of all time.
I love that movie so much. But he comes back to a family he doesn't know. It's actually kind of weirdly horrific.
Yeah, because his siblings were total losers, and he comes back and they're really successful.
Yeah.
Because of his dad.
But they must. But also, he would be a different person.
Yep.
Because,
yes, you would. It doesn't make. Don't try and think it through. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it's the greatest movie ever.
It is
I love the whole Back to the Future trilogy. I absolutely adore, and it's because it really challenges the idea of time travel and the idea that Marty has died numerous times during the storyline, and Doc has seen it. So like Marty. So especially in Back to the Future 2, Marty jumps off. With essentially Trump Towers.
Oh, when he jumps off the tower and the car's there, and how does he know to be there?
Because,
oh my God!
Because there was another time he wasn't there and he died. Yeah.
Holy guacamole! I never thought that.
Yeah, but
maybe that's a brilliant theory.
I love those movies, and they're a predictor of 9/11 and stuff.
What? Oh, I'm not going to go down.
Oh my gosh,
We've got another episode on that. Don't worry.
Back to the Future 2 is all about 9/11.
It's not all about 9/11.
But it's predicted.
It's
like
it's.
Have I sent you the video?
How does it?
I think you did at the time we did the episode.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's truly wonderful.
Wow.
It's not truly wonderful.
Not 9/11. Not 9/11. Please.
For the record, 9/11, not wonderful.
Not wonderful, but
Wowzers.
but Back to the Future 3. I love the Back to the Future movies,
They are great.
and
I think the scariest is in 2, where he goes into 2015, and I think that version of Biff, is the most frightening character. That's a horror film.
The old man with the cane.
No, that's sinister. But
casino.
the casino owner.
Oh, the rich Biff.
Yeah.
or President Trump
and
biff.
he's in his hot tub with his friends, lady friends, and Marty comes in and is like, I need to ask you about the almanac or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then he gets the ladies out and then he says, I knew I'd have to kill someone. I didn't think it'd be you.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And Elaine.
Oh, his
Poor,
poor
hard done by
mother.
Elaine.
Oh.
Terrible times.
One of the favourite things I like about the details in Back to the Future is the mall is called Two Pine Mall, and then at the end it's called
Yeah.
One Pine Mall because he
Yeah.
runs over the tree.
I see. That's you just.
Warms
It's
my heart
delicious.
that so much.
It's delicious.
Yeah. See, it's good that you remember that, right? But some people remember it with 2 pines. See, Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they should watch it more closely.
They should watch it more
more
closely.
closely.
Another counter theory is the simulation hypothesis, which suggests that reality itself may be a simulation, and the Mandela effect occurs when changes or errors are made within the system. Proponents of this theory argue that inconsistencies in collective memory could be the result of modifications to the simulated world, similar to glitches in a computer program. So this is kind of Matrix theory.
We are living in a simulation.
I don't think we are.
It makes more sense, actually. That as an explanation, that kind of makes more sense.
I don't think we're in a simulation. I just think things are so connected because the way that coincidences happen or like you bump into people that you would never normally expect to bump into. I just think our energies are so aligned, which is why these things happen, which makes it feel like someone else is controlling it.
Okay. If we were in the Matrix, would you leave or would you stay?
What, stay in my life or leave?
Yes, blue pill or red pill, essentially. Blue pill is out, isn't it? No,
Okay.
blue pill
Red pill is out.
Red pill is out.
And then go where?
Into the Matrix.
And eat.
Well, out of the Matrix. You'd be in a little bubble of goo.
No.
You'd be free.
I'm
But
not. Why would anyone do that? Crackers. Carry on with your life, guys. Right? Don't take the pill.
Yeah.
No, I can't be advocating for that.
Fair. You would.
I like the idea of coming in and out of the Matrix. Like I kind of like kicking ass and running around. Like
You can't just pop in and out. We know that.
Well, they do in the
They
movie.
do. Yeah, one of them goes back in, but I mean, he has to really fucking bend over backwards to get back in.
I'm good at bending over backwards.
Bragger.
Yeah.
I wish.
Skeptics of psychological explanations also point to collective unconscious theory, a concept proposed by Carl Jung, which suggests that humanity shares a deep-seated pool of archetypal memories. According to this theory, certain ideas, symbols, and experiences are embedded within the collective human psyche, influencing how people perceive and remember events. Some researchers argue that the Mandela effect may arise from the shared subconscious cultural imprints, causing large groups of individuals to recall events similarly, even if inaccurately. This perspective suggests that these false memories are not merely random distortions, but rather the result of deeper ingrained psychological patterns that manifest across societies. Thoughts on that one?
Yes. I do think there is a collective unconsciousness. There is this weird thing that happens where we just have a common ground, especially if you hang around people. That's the sort of the idea that if you're a dog owner and you start to look like your dog, but that happens when you hang around other people. What's the idea? Like your personality is the 5 people who you hang out with the most. So I do like that idea, and I could see that affecting things.
But isn't that the same thing as like growing up in a particular society and adopting the values of that society, and all that's to do with like schooling and environment and that sort of stuff,
But
isn't it?
I was thinking about this earlier with the Mandela effect. Like, can you think of like the rumors that would go around your school that you'd hear about, like a kid at another school?
Yeah.
And then you'd talk about this as an adult with someone who's like, oh my God, yeah, we had that same rumor.
Yeah.
And I just kind of feel as though when people are, because we didn't have the internet then, so how was the same rumor being circulated across the whole of the UK or across the whole of America?
Yeah.
I just feel as though when lots of people are together, kind of the same ideas, the same conversations happen, even if you're not geographically close to each other, because you're watching the same telly programs, you're wearing the same clothes.
You're influenced by the same things.
Yeah, so although like obviously when we grew up, we weren't as connected as kids are now, I still think we were able to have this weird interconnection.
True, but then
And false memories as well.
But kids now are able to discover the truth of something a lot quicker than we were. Do you know
Yes,
what I mean?
but I think
there's
that's
a
still-
rumor going around.
But also kids now are subject to a lot of more false information than we were. Because if we wanted to find something out, you either had books or you had the BBC News.
Yeah.
Whereas they can find a whole load of shit out from TikTok
Yeah.
and not necessarily be able to counter it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. You're not.
So they're going to have way more false memories than we are because they're going to believe more in conspiracy theories. I do think younger people believe more in conspiracy theories than our age, because I think they're I suppose we're able to filter it out, but because you're just finding so much out on social media, on the internet, it's just more present.
It's easier to disappear down a rabbit hole, and when you're young and easily influenced, that's that.
When your frontal cortex hasn't developed or whatever.
But do you think that's just an age thing that we go, oh, we'll just check the BBC News to see if this is real? That's our barometer.
Well, I also think, absolute nonsense, and then scroll on, and then an hour later I'm still scrolling, being like, oh my God, get on with your life, get on with your life.
Yeah.
But I choose not.
But that's because the phones have us.
Exactly. So do you want some notable examples of misinformation?
Please.
The Lost in the Mall experiment. This was a famous study by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. Its participants were told a false story about getting lost in a shopping mall as a child. Many of them later recalled details of this fabricated event, demonstrating how suggestion could create false memories. I mean, that's fascinating. Slightly fucked up to do that to a kid.
Yeah, I don't like it when experiments are on real ones.
Yeah. But it is a thing.
Yeah.
There's a car crash study and another study by Loftus and Palmer. Participants watched a video of a car accident and were later asked how fast the cars were going. When they said smashed or hit each other, those who heard smashed reported higher speeds and even recalled non-existent broken glass, proving how wording influences memory recall.
Again, it doesn't surprise me. But, it's so easy to manipulate people, isn't it, into what they saw. Like, if we were to go outside now and witness a fight or a crash or whatever, even though all three of us are seeing it, we would all have three
different
very
interpretations
different
of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a great book called The Invisible Gorilla, which is about people missing a gorilla on a football field, and it's a real experiment, and just about how people remember things and what you're focused on. What you focus on expands. So, like, there's things that I'd be interested in that you wouldn't be interested in, that you wouldn't be interested in, And we're all comedians, so. Like how many, this has definitely happened to me. I've been waiting to go on, try new material, and the person before me does the exact joke I was about to do, even though I'd never said the joke before.
Yeah.
Parallel thinking, we all sort of respond to the same thing in the same way. That's why.
So you're saying we need to stop hanging out with comedians?
Yes.
We need to ditch this podcast idea. We are heading in the wrong direction.
Well, yeah. Well, no, come on, comedy. Ugh.
Fair enough. There's one other one I want to talk about, which is the Bugs Bunny at Disneyland study. In this experiment, people were shown fake advertisements featuring Bugs Bunny at Disneyland, although Bugs Bunny is a Warner Brothers character and has never been a Disney attraction. Many participants later falsely recalled meeting him at Disneyland.
No,
They're
you couldn't
just
have
idiots.
done. You couldn't have done because Bugs Bunny isn't friends with Mickey Mouse. So when you go to Disney, you meet Mickey Mouse, you meet Minnie Mouse, you meet other ones.
Yeah.
They're the only two I know.
Yeah.
You don't meet Bugs Bunny.
But we've just established that we grew up at a time where Looney Tunes cartoons were on TV a lot. And therefore, we know that Bugs Bunny, we know that Mickey Mouse is not in those.
So hang on, where would I go and I get to meet the Roadrunner?
Well, you can't catch him.
There isn't a.
You know what I found out? You'll know this. There was a film that never got released about Coyote.
Wile E.
Wile E. Coyote
versus Acme.
Yeah. So Wile E. Coyote. This is a brilliant concept for a film. It's a live action. He's animated, but the rest of it is live action. He takes Acme to court over the number of failed products that he's purchased.
Oh, that's excellent.
It's brilliant.
And they memory hold it
Yeah.
for tax purposes.
Yeah, they never got released.
Oh, I wish they had.
Yeah.
I would be all over that.
Oh, it's genius. I imagine it is shit, but I really want to see it because just the concept of it.
I
love
just
Wile
want
E.
to see the courtroom drama.
Yeah.
Of like all the examples of their failed items.
It's got quite a famous cast as well, from what I remember. But
it was a real shock that it was memory hold, because the same thing happened to the Batgirl movie. I'm less sanguine about the Batgirl movie, but like Brendan Fraser, right off the success of The Wheel, was on that, and it just. No, tax purposes.
Well, naughty.
Release the things. It's disgusting.
yeah, it might just be shit though. So the Mandela Effect is a compelling psychological and social phenomenon that reveals the intricate and often unreliable nature of human memory. So, Sarah, is the Mandela Effect a shift in parallel universes or just a misremembering?
I think people just need to put their specs on and read things a little bit more accurately, including myself, Flintstones.
Yeah, Flintstones, girl. Flintstones.
Meet the Flintstones. That's the third song I've done this.
David, is the Mandela Effect a shift in the parallel universe or just misremembering?
No, although I do believe in shifts in parallel universes. It's a Mandela Effect isn't a part of that.
So you think it's just people?
Misremembering.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not paying attention.
Okay. I agree with both of you. Wow.
What do I win? What do I win?
Absolutely nothing. You get the opportunity to look into this camera and tell people where they can find you and follow you.
Well, they can find me on Instagram at Sarah_Southern. You can find me on X, but I never X on it, so don't bother. But that is Sarah Southern, no underscore. I'm in the process of writing a new show, which you can maybe come and see in Edinburgh in 2026.
Wow.
So
Make a note in your diaries for that.
And also, you can listen to me on Opposition Cast, which is a political podcast with my friend Nigel Fletcher. We should have some new episodes coming out soon.
Very exciting. What a time to do a political podcast.
I know, because there's nothing to talk about.
There's now
Right.
so boring, so dull out there. Would you like a Mandela Effect joke to end the podcast?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Growing up, this so-called Mandela Effect didn't exist, or at least that's how I remember it.
Ba-bum.
It was beautiful.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye!
If you like the podcast and fancy extra episodes and early access every week, why not join our Patreon? Just £5 a month and you'll be helping support the pod. Remember, we love you. Bye.